I think this video is jinxed, but anyway, welcome back. This video is me telling you what perfumes I decided to take with me for a month in Europe. I went over there knowing that we were trying to pack very light. As it turns out, we ended up having to buy another bag before we came home. And that's mostly my fault because I bought so much perfume that we needed a bag that we could check with all the liquids and the weight that it had. So again, my goal was not to take a lot of perfume with me because I knew that I was going to be probably buying perfumes while I was over there. We were going to a fragrance or a perfume trade show called Fragrance in Florence, which was a bit of a bust for me because I couldn't smell anything, but I still went and it was amazing. Got to meet a lot of people, a lot of perfumers, which was incredible. As it is, I did end up taking much more than I needed, even though they were all sort of small quantities. And none of these really ended up being perfumes that I associate with the holiday itself, because the perfume that I ultimately wore the most over there was one that I bought over there. And I will talk about that in a separate video. But anyway, let's just get on with it. I'll take you through what I took and I guess my thought process. Now, I did film a video about this before I left, but I was so sick that I sounded terrible and Matt just went, you can't post that. And then I refilmed it at the villa in France, but it's a new camera and I'm still sort of learning how to use it. And I had inadvertently pressed a button that puts it in slow-mo mode. So I have like this whole video of me talking through all these perfumes and there's no audio because it was in slow-mo. So I think this video is jinxed, but anyway. All right, so first up, what I took with me was an Ormond James Travel Lab. This is not the standard travel lab that you buy because the perfumes that I have in here are all travel size ones that I have selected from my collection. So in here, I have a little travel size of Ormond Woman. I have a travel size of Evernia and a travel size of Gatsby. Now, so these three perfumes were a contender for the wedding day scent. If you've watched the previous video, you will already know that I wore Fleur de Lolita by Parfums de Cita. But as I think I mentioned in one of my earlier videos where I was talking about finding a wedding perfume, I had said that I wanted to wear something that was familiar to me, but I didn't want something that was so familiar that it just felt like an everyday perfume. And Ormond Woman is something that I have worn a lot over the years. But basically what I wanted something like Ormond Woman, but more floral. Linda had suggested that I sort of have a play around with a few different ones and then see if I could come up with a combination or a version of Ormond Woman using other fragrances in her line that got me where I wanted to be. And so these three together I thought worked really, really well. I love Evernia. In fact, I may ultimately end up getting a bottle of that at some point. And Gatsby is very fresh and aromatic. So Evernia is I think is a chypre floral. It's got oak moss in it. It's kind of a green floral fragrance. And then obviously you've got Ormond Woman, which is very green and very spicy and very woody. And then you've got Gatsby, which is also very green and aromatic, but there's lots more citrus in it. So it's very bright and kind of sparkly. And I just found that I really enjoy wearing the three together. So you can probably see that I have actually, put a little bit of a dent in the vials. Once we got to France and we were in Provence, the Fleur de Lolita turned out to be the obvious choice because of the provincial florals that are in that fragrance, and it just matched the setting perfectly. And then also in here is Privé, also a travel size of Taif. So anyway, that was the first thing that I packed. And then I also did pack another de Cita fragrance, actually. This is Le Pavillon d'Or, a very sort of green, golden floral fragrance. Absolutely gorgeous. Really, really love it. It comes in this handy travel size. I didn't wear this very much at all, actually, but in the lead up to going away, I wore it quite a bit. I also packed Chypres by Floris, London. I don't think I wore this one at all either. This is kind of a musky rose scent to me. It actually reminds me quite a bit of one of the Narciso Rodriguez for her perfumes, except I feel like this has better performance than that. And this one I find to be a little bit softer. So the musky notes aren't as loud in this one. It's a really pretty fragrance. I really enjoy wearing it, but again, didn't really reach for it while I was away. One that I did wear a couple of times was a travel size of Pure Extreme by Maison Micallef. I have kind of struggled with a lot of Micallef fragrances because they tend to lean quite sweet and a little bit too sweet for me in most cases. But this one I really enjoy. This one is, I had a slight interruption, so if the camera angle has changed, that's why. Where was I? Yes, Pure Extreme. So this is, to me, a really fresh, musky rose scent, but it has this sort of undertone of clean linen. So it's got that sort of clean linen, musky undertone, which really works well. And I find I really appreciate it, and I really enjoy wearing it on hot days. And I find that it makes me feel really fresh and clean. So that's a win for me, my first Micallef that I really, really enjoy. I also took this little 35ml bottle of Chanel No. 5 Low. I only have a little bit left, which I'm a bit sad about actually. It's just such a pretty aldehydic fragrance. The Low to me has a bit more of a citrusy bent. It does still have that sort of bit more of a sweeter undertone like the Eau Premiere does. But I think the Eau Premiere actually might be a bit sweeter than this one. But they're both really, really easy to wear, and again, a great sort of summertime fragrance when you want to smell fresh and clean. Which is why I packed them, because I knew that maybe, you know, the clothes might go a few days without a wash. And I just wasn't sure, you know, what the weather was going to be like. As it turns out, it was quite warm over there, a lot warmer than I was expecting. I packed a lot of clothes that I thought would transition really well into autumn, and didn't need them. And then finally, I took this travel size L'Interdit Eau de Parfum perfume oil, I think this is. It's definitely viscous, so I think it's just a roll-on. This was my, you know, for days when I wanted something really sweet perfume. Again, didn't wear it, and that's probably because I ended up purchasing a couple of fragrances, and one of those had a bit of a sweeter tone. Not as sweet as this, but it definitely satisfied that sweet urge for me. So you're probably well familiar with this one. It's a white floral fragrance. Again, it is quite sweet. It has been reformulated from the original. I really struggled with it at first, you know, and I obviously have not worn very much of this roll-on. I mean, that's partly because I hate roll-ons. I do have the L'Interdit Rouge, which I enjoy, but that is also very sweet. I think part of the reason why I struggled with this one so much was just because it was a little bit too sweet for me. If I want a sweet white floral, I'm probably more likely to lean towards maybe a Ralph Lauren Woman, or if I want something a little bit more gourmand leaning, then I might go for a Love Tuberose by Amouage. Anyway, that was a big long ramble. Again, I didn't wear it once the entire time. There was one other that I took, and I did wear this quite a bit. This is just a little sample that I made up of White Sandalwood by Goldfield & Banks. I just found this to be a really great perfume to touch up if I'd put a perfume on during the day in the morning and we'd been walking around a lot, and maybe I'd sweated off my perfume because it did sweat. I did have quite a few days where it was warm. So this is to me, a rose sandalwood fragrance. It is the older version. It has been reformulated. The new formulation is a lot sweeter, and I prefer this one because I feel like the sandalwood in here is a lot more dominant than in the newer version, and the sandalwood smells more woody in here than the newer version. And in the newer version, the rose smells a lot more candied and sweet, which is not my favorite. Anyway, that's White Sandalwood by Goldfield and Banks. And that is it. They are the perfumes I chose to take with me. As I said, the perfume that I ended up wearing the most over the whole holiday was one that I bought over there. In fact, there were two that I bought over there that I sort of alternated between. But I would say for the first couple of weeks, out of the perfumes that I took with me, the ones that I wore the most would have been Parfums de Cedar Fleur de Lolita, which was my wedding day perfume, and I wore it for several days after the wedding to try and cement that smell because I couldn't actually smell it on my wedding day. And then I did wear the Almond Jane ones quite a bit in the first couple of weeks. I wore Almond Woman just on its own a few times, and then I also layered it a few times with Evernia and Gatsby, as I explained earlier. I don't think I ended up wearing Privé, and I did wear Taif in France. I think in Marseille I wore Taif quite a bit. So yeah, that's it. That's what I took with me. The next video will probably be me talking about the perfumes that I bought. I'll try and take you through a bit of a journey and show you some of the footage from the trip and show you the perfumeries where I bought these from, although I didn't take pictures of all of the perfumeries, sadly. And then I'll also maybe just show some footage of the wedding and stuff like that. As always, thank you for joining me. And if you did enjoy this, then please do give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.